Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa. And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. Ombudsman Boying Remulla has gotten in the way of Congressman Martin Romualdez's travel plans. Remulla has requested a precautionary hold departure order on the former speaker over his alleged links to the flood control scandal.
Former Vice President Leni Robredo is not running for any national position in 2028, dashing hopes of supporters she will again be the face of the traditional opposition.
And it's an eventful day tomorrow for father and daughter Rodrigo and Sara Duterte. The former president awaits a ruling from the ICC, while impeachment proceedings resume against the vice president.
Para namang sobrang coincidental na nahuli si Zaldy Co sa Europe, wala siyang aalis. Baka mamaya, wala na tayo mapanghawakan dito sa bansang ito. Lahat ng ating nais pasagutin, mawala na lang sa ating jurisdiction. Nag-iingat lang po tayo.
I will not allow myself to be turned into the scapegoat. Then I'm telling everyone now, I will not go quietly and I will not go alone. I will not be the fall guy for other people's corruption.
The Office of the Ombudsman is not letting former Speaker Martin Romualdez leave the country. The congressman had earlier sought permission to fly to Singapore for a medical appointment. Meantime, the Justice Department is making arrangements for the return of Zaldy Co, once a staunch ally of Romualdez. All these in tonight's big story from mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
In a letter dated April 20 to House Speaker Boji D, Leyte 1st District Representative Martin Romualdez requested for a travel clearance to Singapore. This was supposed to start the same day and last until May 4. Romualdez said the trip was for his long overdue follow-up checkup for his angioplasty surgery. Aside from the House Speaker, Romualdez's camp also sent the same travel notice to the Office of the Ombudsman. In a press conference this Tuesday, Ombudsman Boying Remulla said they did not allow Romualdez to leave the country. Remulla said the decision was based on an immigration lookout bulletin against Romualdez related to his alleged involvement in the flood control scandal.
They were trying to ask us to allow him to leave. But because we have a bulletin, a lookout order with immigration about those that who are under investigation, we did not respond favorably to the request that he be allowed to leave. Because, magkakaroon na naman ng haka-haka at kuro-kuro yan. Mabuti nang sana naman, dito lang siya magpa-check up.
Romualdez's camp allegedly appealed the travel notice until this morning.
But ako ay held my ground. Sabi ko, when you join government, you already surrender your right to travel, especially to another jurisdiction, especially if you're under investigation. Baka hindi na bumalik eh. We don't want that to happen.
According to Remulla, part of the decision to bar Romualdez from living is the complaint they filed with the Anti-Money Laundering Council for a freeze order on Romualdez's assets.
We're waiting for the Romualdez case to start rolling, or the Romualdez cases to start rolling. And the first case would be about money laundering. Money laundering. Ayun ang iniintay namin na matagal natin iniintay na magsimula na ang paglabas ng mga kasong ito na high level talaga.
The Ombudsman has also asked the Sandigan Bayan for a precautionary hold departure order against the former House Speaker. Once issued, this order will ultimately prevent Romualdez from leaving the country. Romualdez's camp, however, denied Remulla's statements. Lawyer Ade Fajardo said that Romualdez was not prohibited to travel as only an immigration lookout bulletin order has been issued against him. Fajardo added that Romualdez simply needs to coordinate his travels with proper authorities, which they complied with. Fajardo also downplayed the issuance of a freeze order on Romualdez's assets anytime soon, as they have not yet received any notice regarding an application for a freeze order. Fajardo added that any statements related to this is only speculations for now. Despite the Ombudsman's opposition, the House has granted Romualdez's travel request. A copy of the approval was released by the House Secretary General Sheloy Garafila. Romualdez's case stems from allegations on the flood control scandal. Romualdez is among those implicated by former ACO Bicol Party List Representative Zaldy Co in the alleged budget insertion. Co was arrested in Prague, the Czech Republic, last week, and the government is continuing to move for his deportation. Justice Secretary Frederick Vida himself will head to Prague this week to negotiate Co's return.
Exact proseso, wala pang definite. But where the Philippine government is exploring all available legal processes to bring him back. Okay? As to the definite mode, it will still be known in the coming days. The intention is to be able to meet with the Czech authorities so that we can thresh out possible submittals that we still need to submit. Despite
this, talk doubting Zaldy Co's capture remains ripe as there is still no evidence to prove otherwise. According to Vida, Czech authorities cannot provide pictures proving that Co is in their custody due to data privacy issues that are strictly enforced there. The secretary, however, gave this much new information that Co was arrested with another individual while attempting to sneak into Germany.
I cannot confirm, I'm not sure. Kasi pwedeng pareho sila ng family name, pwede hindi ko ma-confirm yan. At ayaw kong mag-speculate ng impormasyon kung ano. Ayaw ko rin nga banggitin ng pangalan, baka kasi, di ba? Private individual, not accused in any of the cases that the already pending with the Philippine government.
Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Now, as this developed, former Speaker Martin Romualdez came out with a rare video address. There, he called on the Ombudsman to follow due process in its investigation into the flood control cases.
What I ask of the Office of the Ombudsman is simple. Follow the rule of law and due process. This is a serious matter and it should be handled with seriousness, not with haste, theatrics, or shortcuts. I'm ready and willing to respond to every allegation in the proper forum through the proper pleadings, motions, and submissions that the law allows.
Romualdez also broke his silence over the 2025 budget mess and the infrastructure corruption issue. He is wondering why he's being tagged as the one behind it all.
How can I be the mastermind? I was the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, but the House of Representatives is only one part of the branch of government, the legislature. The national budget is not conceived, executed, implemented, bidded out, supervised, and completed by one congressman or even by Congress alone, and certainly not by the Speaker of the House. I want to make this simple and clear. The national budget does not depend on just one person.
Now, Romualdez went on to say the national budget is the product of a constitutional chain involving the executive, the House, and the Senate. The president's cousin noted that accountability must apply to everyone and not selectively. However, he stressed that he did not have a part in crafting the 2025 budget.
With respect to how the budget was deliberated in Congress, let me say this categorically. I was not a part of the BICAM and the small committee budget deliberations. Yes, I was updated on the general outcomes of the deliberations, but I had no visibility with regard to the specific details of the discussions, including particular amendments or insertions approved during these closed-door deliberations. Records would show that I did not participate in those meetings and I was not privy to what exactly transpired during the deliberations. However, two people were instrumental in making those budget decisions, Chis Escudero and Zaldy Co.
Romualdez also said that real corruption does not happen in the crafting of the budget, but in its implementation, which is handled by the executive department.
If corruption were to occur in a magnitude made known to us over the past months, then it's clear that the real corruption does not happen at the level of the general legislative approval alone. It happens at the level of execution of the General Appropriations Act. It happens when projects are implemented. It happens where projects are actually implemented, where procurement is undertaken, where monetary disbursements are actually made. And it happens when substandard projects are passed off as legitimate or when ghost projects are made to appear real. That is why Command responsibility is far more logically relevant in the executive branch.
Romualdez said he first wanted to stay silent out of respect for the legal process, but he believes his silence has been weaponized to build a narrative that is false, twisted, and unfair.
I will not allow myself to be turned into the scapegoat so that others who are actually accountable can walk away clean. If this is a political play to push me out and close the story, tarnishing my name and my reputation, then I'm telling everyone now, I will not go quietly and I will not go alone. I will not be the fall guy for other people's corruption. I have been in public life long enough. I have seen enough. I have heard enough. I know many things about this current administration and past administrations as well.
Meantime, Malacanang has pushed back against doubts over the arrest of former lawmaker Zaldy Co. This after former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque called Co's arrest fake news. Roque said no detention took place, citing Czech police, who described the incident as a mere, quote, intervention. In response, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro called Roque a fake news peddler.
Ang Pangulo po ay nagsalita na. Si Secretary Vida ay salita na rin. So bakit po ba natin paniniwalaan ng isang fake news peddler? So maingat po ang gobyerno sa pagbibigay ng anumang anunsyo. Hayaan na lamang po natin na magtrabaho ang ating gobyerno.
Undersecretary Castro assured Co's safety upon his return to the country. The fugitive congressman is facing graft and malversation cases linked to a 299 million peso flood control project in Oriental Mindoro. Co himself claimed there are threats to his life.
Saan nanggagaling yung sinasabing death threats? Meron na po bang naipakita? Meron na po bang na-blotter o whatever? So, tingin ko dapat doon muna kasi there's no basis. Diba? There will be lacking of basis if you cannot prove that death threats against Zaldy Co.
Now moving on to stories on the oil crisis and the economy. The Department of Energy has clarified that the uniform price adjustment for fuel is not a price cap. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin said oil firms are not being dictated on prices, but are instead being guided in their adjustments. The agency earlier announced rollbacks of 24 pesos and 94 centavos per liter for diesel, 3 pesos and 41 centavos for gasoline, and 2 pesos for kerosene, which took effect today. For Garin, these are benchmarks meant to help detect profiteering and not to fix prices.
Hindi po pwede na i-price cap at wala pang consideration sa pag-import kung magkano ba talaga ang pag-import. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want it to happen na pwede nga tayo mag-import pero wala pong bumibili dahil ang mga oil companies sila po yung hindi nila makayanan na bumili ng sapat na supply.
And in another development, Fitch Ratings has revised its outlook for the Philippines from stable to negative while maintaining its BBB investment grade rating. The move flags risks to the country's credit profile, citing rising energy costs, weaker public investment, and pressures on growth and external finances. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, however, said an outlook change does not automatically mean a downgrade. BSP Governor Eli Remolona further explained the economy remains on solid footing, backed by strong growth and a resilient banking system. Malacanang has also downplayed the credit watcher's outlook revision. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said investor confidence remains intact and that the move should be seen as a cautionary signal and not an immediate change in credit status.
Meantime, a new UN report warns that the economic outlook for Asia-Pacific is under pressure. That's amid ongoing tensions and rising prices linked to the Middle East conflict. The 2026 regional survey says that higher energy and food costs, along with weaker global demand, are slowing growth and driving up living expenses. That said, growth in developing economies is now seen easing to 4% in 2026 from 4.6%, while inflation may rise to 4.6%. And we are going to take a very quick break, but coming right up, Former VP and now Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo says she is not eyeing the presidency or any other national position in 2028. What does this mean for the so-called traditional opposition? We will talk about that when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
The big story is back with former Vice President, now Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo. She says it again, no plans to gun for a national position, including the presidency in the 2028 national elections. In her interview with local radio station RMN 91.1 DWNX Naga, Robredo says she will probably run for re-election. While she acknowledges there are people who want her to run again for a higher post, Robredo is committed to seeing through her plans for Naga City. Before this statement, Octa Research said Robredo is now second in its latest presidential preference survey. She is closing in on perennial first placer and successor, Vice President Sara Duterte.
Bukas daw talaga sa ideya, as in sa pangapunan sa lado nasyonal na magpartisipar kagiraray sa presidential election.
Day na, Ed.
Okay.
Sigurado na ako sa sarili ko na day na ako ma-national. Sa hiling ko, day ita matatapos na bus. Ako most probably masik pa ako ng second term. Aware man ako na may mga gustong magdalagan pa ako.
Mm-hmm.
Pero kuya, mas ako si kaipuhan ni Moon Pornaga. Bako man akong solo na may kumbaga may kapas na mag-lead. Para na sa horizon ko na mabalik pa ako sa national.
Recall that former Senator Sonny Trillanes had called on Robredo to make a decision soon and to say if she is running in the 2028 elections. Trillanes says this is crucial for the opposition, who may field other potential bets like Senators Risa Ontiveros and Bam Aquino.
That thing with, let's say, with Leni, for example, I don't think she sees the danger of a Duterte presidency. And that's the reason why she's nonchalant about the whole thing. She's just focusing on her privates or on her...
Well, she's a mayor of a town.
Yes.
I guess she has to take care of that. Yeah.
But if we're looking at the 2028 presidency as a wartime presidency, kailangan natin talaga yung tumitindig. Hindi pwede yung passive, yung ano ba ito? Hindi mo nga nakikita sa mga issues.
No room for ambiguity.
No room for ambiguity.
And joining us tonight to discuss this development is former presidential spokesperson Edwin Lasherda. Good evening. Welcome to the big story, Edwin.
Hi, good evening. Good best, Shawn and Pauline.
Okay, is this the most certain statement that the mayor has indicated? Because she used the words most probably.
This is the first time she has publicly stated that she would probably not seek a national position. She has stated this quite often in private conversations. If you recall, in February 5, when they met together with Senators Frank Drilon, Butchabad, and some others, sa meeting na yon, she already told them, I have told you countless of times that I am not interested in running for a national position. The problema, walang naniniwala sa kanya.
Okay.
This time around, she has publicly stated that she will probably not seek a national position. Because for the longest time, I think for 6 years, she has largely put Naga City off her radar, obviously because she was a vice president. Now that she has run and she's now mayor of Naga City, and remember, Naga City is the legacy of the Robredos, first with her late husband, Jesse Robredo, and now her, she has to reestablish the legacy of the Robredos because good governance was very alive during the time of Jesse Robredo. And apparently, there has been a back slippage on good governance, and therefore she had to reestablish. Plus, she has a number of good projects lined up for Naga City. So I can understand where she's coming from. I am the one who convinced her twice, first to run as vice president and then to run as president in 2021. I can feel and understand the burden that she's carrying. And that's why this third time around, I never tried to convince her because inabuso ko na ng 2 beses. Nakakayak na abuso ko na 4 beses.
Pero kasi yung most probably, hindi rin klaro eh. You know, you can just say, I am not. Period.
You know, you can take it for what it is. You can take whatever part of that sentence, whatever part of the paragraph, based on your preference. So for someone, and many who would like to see her run, hindi, nagsabi siya, most probably. So there's a percentage of, baka tatakbo pa rin siya, which is valid. But she also said, hindi rin ako magna-national na. Which for those, you know, between that, I'd rather, let's open the field now because there are other candidates. And remember, the whole idea of meeting on February 5 was to come up with a process of selecting just one national candidate, national opposition candidate. With that, and I'll tell you this, unbeknownst to many, there are already surveys which were done, commission surveys which were done, when to see a scenario where you take out the name of Vice President Leni Robredo from the race, and you know what happens? The numbers of Senator Risa Ontiveros and the numbers of Bam Aquino separately rose exponentially. So what does that mean? The presence of Leni Robredo as the presumptive presidential candidate suppresses the numbers of sina Risa and sina Bam. Parang nag-abang siya, natatakbo siya. Kaya hindi muna kami boboto. Gusto namin si Leni tumakbo. But kung klarong aalis siya at hindi siya sasali, open na yung field.
Okay.
Aangat yung mga numbers nila. We saw that, by the way. We saw that. And talagang aangat ang numbers nila, Risa at saka Bam.
So malinaw na, you will not include Leni in the picture.
I think that's a province of the survey firms to decide. But I think it also, as a statement of fact, you should take her word for it. Because this is the first public statement. She said that I'm not interested in running for a national position. And therefore, survey firms should also take a look and take her word for it and see if we take out the name of Leni Robredo, this is the numbers that will come out. And I think it's fair for Risa and Bam also to have that kind of a survey.
What is the mood though in the traditional opposition? Are they crestfallen at this public statement of the former vice president?
Siyempre naman, Ces, if you are the presumptive presidential candidate and you made an announcement like that, those who are pining for her to run would certainly be crestfallen. But you know, let them go to the 5 stages of grief muna para to learn and to understand. There is, you know, this is something I learned in the legal profession, in public service, that no one is indispensable. There will be, when there is a vacuum, nature abhors a vacuum, and if there's a vacuum, it will be filled up. So that's the natural evolution of things. So if Leni decides not to participate, the vacuum will be filled either by Risa or Bam or both. So hindi tayo mawawala ng magagaling na kandidato, at least on the opposition side. Because I'm very, very confident that we have good qualified candidates. And it's for many who have been pining for Leni to make final decision to run, maybe that's also time for us to reorient ourselves, to pivot to someone that, to open the field that hindi lang si Leni ang ating Salvador. Marami tayong pwedeng maging kalaban. And the thing is, the nice thing about this whole situation right now, that I've been saying that Sara, unlike Erap Estrada, is not a prohibitive candidate. Remember, nag-announce na siya, hindi umangat yung numbers. At what were her numbers? 50-something before the WR numero survey. WR numero, she's 35. Now, dun sa Okta, meron pa rin. So, her numbers are not astronomical.
Okay,
It's reachable. It's beatable. She's not invincible.
yeah. I wanted wanted to ask you, okay, let's assume no na, okay, wag na si VP Leni or Mayor Leni, let's call her that, but is she willing to still participate and help the traditional opposition in the sense na pwede naman kasi siya mag-endorse? And like you mentioned, Senator Risa Ontiveros, she has previously gone on the record and said, actually willing siya pretty much, right?
You know, I agree with you. She should be part of the whole process pa rin. Because right now, the opposition is coming up with the process. The closest, and I think Sonny Trillanes mentioned that in his interview, that parang primaries ang pinag-uusapan, which is a process alien to us Filipinos. We don't have primaries, unlike in the United States, where you choose one candidate, no? So that's something that we are trying to understand, trying to learn, that we go through a primaries where essentially the candidates present themselves to the public and present their platform government, present whatever they want to present, what their ideas for governance is, and let the people decide who would they want to be the opposition standard bearer. And that's, I think, Leni plays a crucial role because if her heart is into helping opposition candidate, whoever she is, he or she is, then sasama rin talaga yung buong Pinklawan group Because talaga naman, we need to find a candidate. We cannot afford not to have a good president. You know, it's existential for us to have a administration steeped in good governance.
So for now, at least as of today, you haven't actually hashed it out with the former vice president kung willing siya tumulong or not. Have you gotten her agreement?
The February 5 meeting was the start of that, no? And the fact that she appeared there, she was present, shows her commitment to seek a one opposition candidate. It cannot be gainsaid that we need to have only one opposition candidate, and whether it's Bam, Risa, Kiko, even Sina Frank, Sina Boots were there, all agreed. Kailangan isa lang ating kandidato. In order to do that, everybody should help in the process. And since Leni plays a vital role, her presence would always bolster the idea of we need to have just one candidate. Sana wala magiging renegade.
So Edwin, the next step is to agree on the process to choose.
Yes. And sa akin lang, the process, just to let you know, Ces, the process they're looking at the whole year. So one person suggested, let's do a process of 1 year until the end of December 2026. Others would suggest until the first quarter of 2027. So, but that there's been an ongoing discussion. But I think given the situation right now, there's an impeachment. Vice President Sara Duterte already declared herself to be a candidate. And you know what? The absence of other candidates from the opposition side will naturally, for politicians who are looking for a shelter, ng bahay, they most likely, if we don't come up with an opposition candidate, they most likely will gravitate, or in my words, will calcify to Sara. So, and that's what I think there's an urgency for us to really firm up the process, expedite the process, so that we can come up with our own candidate.
So in terms of potential candidates, there's Risa Ontiveros, Bam Aquino, but it seems there's another name, Mar Rojas. Congressman Egay Irisa said that there are apparently efforts to convince Mar Rojas to run for presidency in 2028. Can you confirm, Edwin, if there are really talks within the opposition?
You know what? I believe in Mar. So when I heard about that, it's something that would improve, you know, whatever. Mar is a very competent technocrat and government official. She was with the Arroyo government, the Arab government, and with the Pinoy government, and he has proven himself well. As to whether he can be a candidate, let's bring his name there. I mean, it will be good for us to bring all the most qualified candidates to join the pool. And so, there's, because of that, we've got so many qualified candidates. It is necessary for us to come up with the process, and adding Mar Rojas' name there would certainly make it more exciting. And parang we're sifting the chaff from the grain, So, yan ang dapat natin gawin, lalo na magaganda naman at magagaling ating mga kandidato.
Okay,
diba?
Edwin, what is crucial is the process. So, is there something that comes to mind? A process that everybody will, agree on? Because, again, you might not agree on how to choose.
We
And
agree
I
that-
recall, if I may add, I recall that Senator Drilon had said that end of the year is too late. By the end of the year, you should have a candidate.
I agree. That's why end of the year, before the end of the year na, sana may kandidato na. Yung process really is essentially, it's going to be a horse race at the end of that whole year. So everybody prepares to run, everybody sells themselves to the public and present themselves to the public. And
So you mean the survey will determine? It's walang primary, as you said. How can
Yes,
you
but
do
primary
some
is
kind of...
always, at the end of the day, any primary, it's always a quantitative thing. Eh. Look at the primaries in the US. It's always quantitative at the end of the day. You present yourself to the public, and whether you're able to convince the electorate, it's another question. But how do you know that you're able to convince the electorate? You can have only one quantitative metrics, which is survey. The question is, what survey firm are we getting? I mean, all the survey firms right now are under attack. Some people don't believe anymore in surveys, but you need to have a quantitative metric to determine who will be the lone opposition candidate. Kasi otherwise, if you're gonna put in qualitative metrics, paano yung qualitative mo? Eh,
Away-away na kayo doon.
So, Seco,
No, can't you gather leaders in a room and then let them choose?
That's so unfair. Are you telling me that only all this, you're going to suggest some people and they will determine our candidate? Unfair yan. That happened in one Sambayan. That's why that one
I
thing.
remember.
Just correct.
Yeah.
but
Diba?
Seco, yun nga, what Seth is saying about the process, no? And that's really important because first you have to agree on the process before you can even agree on the candidate, right? So it has the framework, I'm putting it in
Survey
quotation.
nga eh. Survey.
Apart from
Survey
that,
says.
okay, that's the quanti part, that's the data part. But in terms of like, have you hashed out how, like, is it they're going to be board? Is there going to be weights on which party gets
Or
more?
regional, some kind of
something.
regional voting.
Those are good questions.
Delegates.
That's a nice idea that you have proposed, that the process has not yet been firmed up yet. In fact, I've already told one of the participants, ano ang bagal nyo, ha? I've told them that you have to have some process already. Nagdeklara na si Sara. Marami na nang sumasabing lilipat na sila kay Sara. And where are we in the process? So that process has to be firmed up very, very soon. And that's why there's an urgency. We've been telling them, you can't do this like you're just hindi to hindi to parang
seryoso.
Alam nila naman na seryoso, pero syempre marami mga components and how do we address some of the questions. What will be part of the process? What are the qualitative? At the end of the day, unfortunately, whether you agree with me or not, there has to be one objective quantitative metrics. Otherwise, I will argue with you to death na hindi dapat may qualitative tayo, hindi pwede. The qualitative part comes in when you present to the electorate. So that would, I don't even know, do we have delegates? That's not something that has been decided by the members of that facilitator group.
Let's go back to that February 5 meeting that you mentioned. So, the former VP already told the group that she was not running.
Yes.
Right? So
hindi nilang maniwala. Marami sa atin ang hindi naniniwala. Ayan, let's put it that way.
Has there been another meeting since then? I'm curious because that's more than 2 months ago.
Exactly nga. I mean, sabi ko, ang bago nyo. So, I've been telling them. Ano bang, but, that's the whole problem with process. I mean, these guys, I love them. They're very democratic. The problem with democracy, it takes consensus. It takes a little bit of time, di ba? So that's how we've been demanding. Let's expedite the process. You have to meet sooner than later. So that's the whole point on. Hindi porke 1 year may taning ng 1 year.
Also, kumbaga, what the mayor did was trigger that process now. Trigger that you speed up the selection. Because she took her herself out of the equation already.
Serendipitously, it now opens the field. I mean,
Yeah.
because really, the problem was, parang lahat nakaabang na lang kay VP Leni. Ngayon nagsabi siya, tatabi ako, ayusin na natin yan. And then that's why I will go up and talk to the people I know there. Ano yan, ayos na tayo. So let's start the ball rolling on the process.
Okay.
But how does an alliance with the current administration sound to you? Because there's that growing sentiment that the non-Duterte forces must unite behind one candidate in order for this to be a head-to-head battle with Sara Duterte. But is the traditional opposition even open to an alliance with the administration?
The whole idea of opening up is really not just on the government, on the administration. You've got a number of forces there that need to be united. So you're essentially building a Big Tent coalition. You just can't say na hindi, administration, di kami, or sila ganito, hindi namin sasama. Because we won't win. I mean, realistically, what was the percentage of the Pinklawan in the last election, presidential? 28? That wasn't enough. That's not enough. So you have to be realistic and pragmatic enough to build a Big Tent coalition, provided the principles are clear, provided that there is unanimity on who will be the presidential candidate, who will be the vice presidential candidate. Admittedly, there will be some negotiations that will go on, and we will leave that to all the coalition partners. But is that something in the universe of possibilities? It can happen, but pragmatically, we cannot win on our own. That's a realistic assessment that di natin kaya kaming mga Pinklawan. Di natin.
Yeah, Sec, I want to go back to Pawi's earlier question about Mar Rojas because of course, I'm seeing a lot of posts also on social media and also through news reports that actually he is pretty good friends with President Bongbong Marcos. And he's also pretty much good friends with everybody in your coalition so far. If you were to approach, how does that work? Can he apply or does somebody from the coalition have to approach him? I suppose that's part of the process, but how would that work out?
Well, number one, I'm sure Mar was surprised that si Egay just brought it up all of a sudden. But I don't think, I'll tell you this. When Egay reported to me na sinabi niya, nilagay ko yung pangalan ni Mar, sabi ko, binusinahan mo lang ba si Mar? Hindi. But that's something that, Mar has to make a decision or to study, is he willing to put his name on the primaries? But that's a whole new question because nobody has even approached him. I mean, Egay just out of a sudden, because sa totoo lang, we all know the capability naman of Mar talaga. There's no doubt
But Edwin, he has lost 3 successive elections.
That's true. That's why somebody has to ask him straight. Are you willing to put your name there? I mean, look, but he's been out of government for some time. And he has very, very appealing, very cute kambal, which are so endearing to the public, which are so famous on Instagram. So whatever you knew about Mar before may not necessarily be the same Mar that you know now. He's a loving father. He has 2 kids. He's been handling the business side of the Araneta group of companies. So it's something, and yet he contributes also to the political discourse when somebody seeks his advice. So he is yung galing niya hindi nawawala yan. Hindi yan mawawala kahit wala siya sa gobyerno. So somebody has...
All right. Well, now let's ask something related to you. It's been some time since your name was supposedly shortlisted for the DICT portfolio. Did you reject it? Is that why, nothing has been said since?
Wala ko, hindi ko alam. I have not talked to anyone in the Malacanang. As far as I know, my name was shortlisted because I have a tech background and I have governance experience. The problem with DICT, I think, is that you need to have a combination. Obviously, the people who were appointed there have good tech background. The concern is whether do you have the governance experience to run a public institution. running a private enterprise is different from running a public enterprise. So it's the kind of governance is something that the ICT needs now. But I can tell you for a fact that I have not been approached by anyone. So I don't know if I know that I've been shortlisted. I was informed I was shortlisted, but I don't know who referred my name or recommended my name to whoever shortlisted the who.
Ikaw pa lang tulay.
Would you accept it though?
Nandiyan na si Mel Sarmiento. Oh, nandiyan na si Orban. Si Ed Orban, National Security Advisor. Kaibigan ko yan. So, mga ano yan. So, but the thing is, you don't really look at colors. I think to the credit of the president, he's looking at competence, the qualification that they have, not necessarily the political colors. The others will look at it based on political colors. But I think the president is smart enough to see if he's highly qualified, let's take him in regardless of his political affiliation, which is what he's doing. To his credit, and I hopefully that will gel, that his new cabinet will gel and form a renewed cabinet for the sake of the country.
All right. On another matter, it looks like the ombudsman is looking at the former speaker as a possible case may be filed against him. What do you think of the developments in the flood control scandal?
Well, number one, the ombudsman promised, he said that he will be filing charges against Cheese and Speaker Martin Romualdez. Now, we don't know, because apparently the evidence seems weak against Speaker Martin Romualdez, because there's really no direct evidence. I don't know this 18 Marines thing, but there's no direct evidence other than the statement of former Congressman Zaldy Co. But at the very least, Boying already said that he will be filing charges against Martin. And so, again, the question is, when? Because, there's a tendency with the Remulla brothers to overpromise and underdeliver. Maybe because apparently things are not as simple as it is. So they're voluminous documents and all that. So hopefully, at some point in time, sana mag-file na ng charges. Because I think, based on some surveys that I've seen, qualitative surveys, not quantitative surveys, parang everybody wants senators to be imprisoned and then also the speaker. So wala pang nangyayari hanggang ngayon. So kailan pa tayo maghihintay? You got filed against former Senator Revilla, but the operative word is former. So parang walang epekto sa taong bayan. So hinahanap ngayon ng taong bayan, sino bang makakasuhan dito sa mga present set of officials? Sana, tingnan natin para hindi maging disappointed ng taong bayan sa Marcos administration. Nangako sila eh. So dapat to pa rin sana nila.
All right, we thank you for your time. Former presidential spokesperson Edwin Lacerda. This is still the big story on One News, and still ahead, it's going to be a Duterte Day tomorrow at the House and in The Hague. The details when we return, and keep it here on One News. You're watching the big story here on One News. All eyes on the International Criminal Court in The Hague tomorrow as its appeals chamber rules on former President Rodrigo Duterte's challenge to its jurisdiction on his case. The 5-member panel will deliver its decision in open court at 11 a.m. in The Hague or 5 p.m. Manila time. Duterte has asked to skip the hearing and has designated his lawyers to represent him. However, the court has yet to act on that request. ICC-accredited lawyer Cristina Conti told our sister program, StoryCon, the ruling on jurisdiction is final.
Hindi uso sa ICC yung MR. Kaya, kumbaga, for all intents and purposes, last decision na ito, final decision na. Kaya make or break, parang ganun ang lalabas. Kasi kung may jurisdiction, edi sabihin na natin, tuloy lang yung ginagawang process sa pre-trial chamber. Pero kung wala, burado lahat yon, titigil ang process sa kaso ni Duterte at titigil din yung investigation patungkol sa possibly any other suspects na bubuksan sana ng ICC.
Attorney Conti said the appeal stems from an earlier ICC ruling affirming jurisdiction, making this a critical and potentially final turning point in the case. She also clarified tomorrow's decision is separate from the confirmation of charges proceedings, which will focus on the scope of Duterte's crimes against humanity case.
Nung ni-raise ni Duterte, dito na hinarap ng ICC yung issue. Tapos komplikado siya sa punto ng kauna-unahang pagkakataon na merong former member state na nagtuloy yung kaso after siyang mag-withdraw. At syempre, nakaabang yung iba na pwede kayang gawin din namin yun. Aatras na lang kami bago kami gumawa ng kabulastugan. At dahil ang mag-aatras naman ay yung presidente or head of state, edi pabor yan dun sa presidente or head of state na gagawa ng atrocity crime.
Meanwhile, here at home, Digong's daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, will be once more the subject of a hearing at the lower house. The House Committee on Justice resumes its investigation on the impeachment complaints against the VP tomorrow. It will center on Duterte and her spouse Manscarpio's alleged unexplained wealth. This will be based on their tax records, which have been submitted by the BIR on April 14, and on audits made by the SEC or Securities and Exchange Commission on businesses under their name. Kapatid channels will be airing the impeachment proceedings from start to finish. Catch that special coverage tomorrow, April 22, here on One News, 1PH, and News 5.
And meanwhile, the Senate vows that as soon as the lower house transmits the impeachment, they will act upon it forthwith. Senate President Tito Soto says he will immediately report to plenary in case the complaint is transmitted to them on May 4th. Now, that's the same day the upper chamber resumes session.
As soon as the Senate receives it, I will inform the Senate and refer it to the Committee on Rules. Depende sa bilis ng palitan ng ng mga ng mga ipapadala nating complaints and reception of the complaints. Depende, posible kaming let's say by May 5 mag-convene. Within a month, matagal na yun. Matagal na yun. Ako, tingin ko in a matter of 2 weeks, more or less, 2 weeks, siguro nakahanda na yun.
Meantime, Ethics Committee Chair Senator J.V. Ejercito issued a public appeal to Senator Bato de la Rosa to voluntarily waive his salary and allowances for the time being. That's as the Senate is still working on establishing rules to compel his attendance. It's been over 5 months since De La Rosa last attended sessions, following reports that the International Criminal Court had issued an arrest warrant against him over the Duterte drug war. And on to another story. Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, Carlito Galvez Jr. has resigned days after Eduardo Año quit as National Security Advisor. Galvez will be replaced by former Interior Secretary Mel Sarmiento. Prior to serving the Marcos administration, Galvez and Año were part of the Duterte cabinet.
And in other news, Filipino scientists have developed a forensic tool to strengthen sexual assault investigations by preserving critical DNA evidence. Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho with the story.
For decades, sexual assault cases in the Philippines have often come down to one thing: word against word. But after nearly 25 years of research, Filipino scientists may have found a way to change that through the Sexual Assault Investigation Kit, also known as the SAI Kit. The idea began in 2003 when University Research Associate Frederick Delfin first developed the kit to genetically identify the assailant. Years later, Dr. Maria Corazon A. de Ungria and her team continued the work.
Our first prototype was out in 2005, and then we continued validating and testing different changes all throughout until the present day.
From a simple prototype in 2005 to a fully developed system today, this kit is designed to help doctors collect critical DNA evidence from survivors.
Usually in rape cases and sexual assault, if you've had an opportunity to go to court, it's a he says, she says situation.
Inside the kit are the essential tools and forms needed to properly gather and document evidence.
This kit provides both those tools to be able to collect the samples and the documents to want to instruct them on how to collect. And then to document the types and amount of samples that were collected. And this is important for chain of custody of samples and subsequent use of DNA evidence in court.
Timing, however, is crucial. Survivors have a narrow window, just 72 hours to preserve evidence before it is lost.
There's a critical time period of 72 hours post-contact that we're trying to capture with a collection of samples using this kit.
The kit can be used for any survivor, women, men, and children, as reports of abuse continue to emerge across the country. For the team behind it, the SAI kit represents more than science. It is about giving a voice to those who may not have one. As it prepares for its commercial launch on May 19, the SAI kit marks a major step in making forensic tools more accessible, with an initial 2,000 kits set to be distributed in select organizations.
The Philippines protects its children, and we are amongst those Filipinos who want to use what we know best. We have the technology, and the teams would like to be able to give you that support that you did not have in your own environment.
Kapatid Denise Valdesancho, we are One News.
And now on a much lighter note, from the tennis court to the red carpet. Tonight's big picture is our very own tennis icon Alex Eala, clad in a beige Filipiniana gown. Fresh off her rise in the WTA rankings, now at number 44. Eala turned heads at the 2026 Laureus World Sports Awards, which is often called the Oscars of Sports. The gown was designed by her uncle, Rhett Eala. The 20-year-old Filipina shared the spotlight with the world's best, including Carlos Alcaraz and Ariana Sabalenka, who were named top athletes of the year. Eala returns to competition at the Mutua Madrid Open this week, where she opens against a qualifier. It's the start of a busy clay season with stops in Rome and Parma, and all building up to the French Open in Paris. After that, it's Wimbledon and the US Open for the Pinay tennis superstar. She looks so lovely.
She looks so good.
Yeah.
I swear she's the best ambassador for the Philippines right now.
Every chance she gets, she always represents the Philippines. And in her speeches, she speaks in Filipino after winning matches, right? And now she's wearing that beautiful Filipiniana.
Yeah, so elegant.
So elegant.
Yeah.
So helps to be 5'9".
Yes. A lot of
So
people.
fit, yeah, so fit. And also, our collar, it sets off her morena.
Her morena.
Yeah.
So hoping she'll go up about 44 pa.
Yes, of course. It's still an exciting year ahead for Alex Eala. But for
Before
us,
she was a sensation, what number was she?
Hundreds.
yeah,
Imagine that. No?
she just recently made it to the
But we reported so many climbs, like, diba?
Yeah, parang in a matter of weeks she would, or days even, no?
Yeah. Malay nyo, top 10 eventually.
Yes. Hoping for that.
All right, and that's it for us here on The Big Story this Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.
Kapatid, we are One News all sides, all the time. Have a good night.